When it comes to recessions, we're either in one or one is coming. So, recessions are a normal and inevitable part of our financial lives. So, the question is, though, how do we set ourselves up so that we're recession proofing our finances? That's what I'm going to be talking about today. Hi, I'm Scarlett Cochran. I'm a lawyer, an author, and a wealth expert. And this is One Big Happy Life, where we help you find balance and build wealth, everything that you need to create the life that you want. Today, we're talking about the best way to recession proof your finances. But before we dive in, I want to invite you to a brand new live money masterclass that I'm going to be teaching called Master Your Money: The 4 Keys to Building Wealth while creating a life that you love every step of the way. You can head on over to onebighappylife.com/masterclass to save your seat for this free live class where I'm going to be teaching you the self-led approach to finances, where you will learn how to build a money plan that's going to create the life that you want. You set goals based on your values, and you create a money practice, a method for managing your money that's designed to work for you and how you are as a person. When you learn the self-led financial approach, you'll be able to be confident with your money because you understand the core financial principles and you understand how to make them work for you no matter what is happening in the world around you. You'll feel good about your finances because you know that you're on track to hit all of your financial goals on your preferred timeline. And you'll also be able to enjoy the process of managing your money because the way that you manage your money fits well with who you are as a person. You're able to build better spending habits with ease and know that you have a money system that works for you. So head on over to onebighappylife.com/masterclass to save your seat. Now, when it comes to preparing your finances for a recession, there are many different things, strategies, tactics that you can use, but today I want to focus on just one, and the one that I think is really the essential strategy that you want to make sure that you have in place, and that is making sure that you are able to create income stability for yourself, regardless of what is going on in the economy around you. And the reason why I say that income stability is the thing that we want to focus on, especially in the short term, is because other strategies can take time and do take time to build. So, for example, having an emergency fund that's 6 months or 12 months, well, that is a wonderful way to build your financial safety net so that you're able to handle whatever financial turbulence comes along in the economy. But it can take years to get to that point, especially when you're working towards other financial goals like investing or maybe putting money towards your college for your kids, buying a house, paying down some credit card debt. It can take a while to build up a big financial safety net. And what if you find yourself in a recession right now, or a recession is imminent, and so there's only so much that you can do to actually build up cash reserves, which is what an emergency fund is. And so while yes, having an emergency fund is also an essential part of creating a financial safety net, which is something that I talk about in my book, building our income stability is something that we can do in the short term. I believe that building our income stability is really one of those foundational principles that we want to make sure that we're continually doing, both inside and outside of a recession, but that in a recession, taking the time to focus on your income stability is the thing that will allow you to continue to thrive regardless of what happens around you. Because when we think about a recession, what are we really worried about? We're worried about loss of income. We're worried about our ability to find a job. If, say, we lost income, we were an employee and we lost our income, worried about being able to find a new job, and worried about being able to meet expenses. Now, an emergency fund helps us handle some of the repercussions of losing a job for an extended period of time, right? We can still meet our financial obligations, but at some point, we're going to want to have more income coming in. And even if we have a large amount of cash reserves, and let's say that those reserves are invested, we want to also have options to where if those invested cash reserves have decreased in value, and so we don't want to be liquidating assets, selling stocks when the value has decreased, right? Because that's when we lock in the losses. We want to have cash flow coming from other places so that we don't have to tap into those assets when they are at a low. That's where income stability comes in. It is really the safety net for your safety net. The ability to bring in more income regardless of what is going on in the economy around you. Now, traditional advice will often say for you to, of course, build up the emergency fund, which I agree with, and cut spending. That those are the two things that you do when a recession is imminent or when we're in the midst of a recession. But the question is that the most effective action that you could be taking right now? Because what that is the like batten down the hatches approach. We're going to turtle it and we're just going to hope that what we've already managed to do is going to be enough to get us through the financial storm that we find ourselves in the moment, this current recession, which is a very passive approach because we're waiting and hoping that our reserves and our cut expenses will outlast whatever's going on in the economy. And it may or it may not. Whereas if we took an active approach, which is focusing on making sure that we're able to generate the income that we need, again, in any economy, then what that does is allow us to truly stay afloat and maybe even make progress over the course of a recession, which people have been known to do. So then the question is, okay, how do you actually create income stability for yourself? Income stability means that you're able to earn the money that you need to support your current lifestyle, meaning that you're always able to go out and make money in some way. And this is a skill that can be learned. And this is a skill that we can and should be using regardless of whether or not we are in a recession. Because growing our income, increasing our capacity to earn money is something that allows us to accomplish more and more of our financial goals, to be able to spend on the life that we want without having to compromise. So really, this is something that we do regardless of whether or not we're in a recession, but it can especially pay off in a recession. So some general principles for creating income stability. The first is to be rare and valuable, so good that they can't ignore you. And this is a concept that Cal Newport talks about a lot, where you devote yourself to being really good at what you do. So honing your craft, whatever that craft happens to be, which means loving the process of getting better at your chosen field of work and taking it as a personal responsibility to do that, as opposed to waiting for an employer to provide training for you or waiting for your employer to provide opportunities for growth for you. You take your own career into your own hands and you start asking yourself, how can I start getting the experience that I know that I need to have in order to continue to advance in my chosen career field, in order to be seen as the go-to person in this industry or in this company or in this office? How do I make myself indispensable so that if layoffs were to happen, I'm the last person that they're gonna want to lay off? Like if they lay me off, it's because the lights are going out and this business is shut down, not because they didn't see or understand the value that I brought to the company. Those are questions that we have to ask ourselves. And those are questions that we may not instinctively ask ourselves. Many people take a passive approach to their own careers where they wait for an employer to offer them a training program, or they are waiting for a promotion to open up and they continue waiting even though they're getting passed over and passed over and passed over. And then they see it as an employer problem, which it very well might be, but it also could potentially be a you problem. And it's a hard thing to say and to hear. But if we start asking ourselves that question, is it me? Is what else could I be doing here? What that does is empower us because we're not sitting back and waiting for someone to recognize how great we are. We are continuing to build and hone our greatness, our expertise, and which includes honing our skills at selling ourselves to other employers if need be. Part of income stability is building your skills and expertise in your field, but also building your skills and expertise when it comes to selling yourself to employers and showing the value that you would bring to a company. Because here's the thing, in every recession, there are still going to be companies who are hiring. So why not put yourself in a position to be the person that is still in demand even during a recession? The other reason why focusing on cutting all expenses in a recession may not be the best for us is because it's possible that we may need to retrain in a recession or whatever is going on. So for example, in the pandemic, let's say you were a personal trainer and you trained people exclusively in person, but now you can't meet with them in person. And so it's not, you could be the best personal trainer in the world, but if you can't meet in person, then you can't meet in person. And so maybe the best thing would have been to spend money to learn how to deliver personal training sessions online so you could still have clients and you could still make money. But if you're just bracing for the storm and closing down all the shutters and you're not going to invest in yourself, then you miss the opportunity to continue to thrive. So it's also about being strategic about how you use your money, not just assuming that the best thing to do is cutting spending, but allowing yourself to ask yourself the question, do I need to spend money to retrain? Do I need to spend money to teach me the skills of interviewing or to have someone review my resume? What am I missing here? And to see that as an investment in your income stability that will allow you to grow your income stability over time. So to tie that up into a neat principle bow, we're talking about not getting complacent, right? So not waiting around for someone else to give you what you are looking for in a job, to give you the training, etc. Also, be flexible and be creative. So you have these skills and you know how to use them in one context. So also consider, what are all the different ways that I could use these skills? And so what that will allow you to do is think of other industries where you may be able to apply for and get a job, even if your particular industry that you're currently in isn't doing so well in the current economy. And another principle is you do what you need to do in the short term while you're working on a long-term solution. And sometimes that looks like not taking the side hustle job to make a little bit of extra cash and instead focusing on the long term, growing your income long term. So I definitely did that in my 20s when I could have been working a side hustle. I could have used the extra money. I was looking long term where I wanted to be, and I was willing in the short term to take that income cut so that I could set myself up for success long term. Also, it's a skill that's not taught, but I wish we all were taught how to make money outside of being an employee for someone else. So how can we go out and pitch ourselves, whether it's as a some sort of a consultant, some sort of a contractor, something like that, where we may have clients and we basically are entrepreneurs, we're running our own business. How can we create our own income? And now I know how to do that because I am an entrepreneur, but it's something that I had to learn along the way as I built One Big Happy Life. And I really do think that it is a skill that we should all have, the ability to make income no matter what. Whether we are employed or not, we know how to use our skills and to sell ourselves and to build a book of business that can provide us an income without traditional employment. So even if you have no intention of ever having your own business, I think it's a worthwhile skill to know how to execute on demand because you never know when it could come in handy. So tell me in the comments down below, what's one thing that you're going to do to build your income stability over time? And be sure to head on over to onebighappylife.com/masterclass to save your seat for the live money masterclass that I'll be teaching, Master Your Money, the 4 keys to building wealth while creating your rich life. All right, I will see you then and see you next time. Bye.